waiting way too long. Yeah, I've been down here trying to get it. Yeah, I've been waiting way too long.
This video is an intro to expressions and equations. There are some terms, there are some vocab words that you need to know. Expression is a mathematical phrase that contains operations, numbers, and/or variables. I will give you an example of this in a little bit. An equation is a mathematical statement that two expressions are equivalent. The main difference between an expression and an equation is that an equation has an equal sign. If there is not an equal sign, then it is an expression. An equation is where you have an expression on both sides of the equal sign. And notice that an expression does not have to have variables. An expression could just be numbers, or it could just be a number. Terms are the individual parts of an expression that are added or subtracted. Constant is a term without a variable. So here I have an expression, and we're going to talk through this expression and what all these vocab words mean. So this is an expression because there is no equal sign. An expression has numbers, variables, could have variables, and it has the operation symbols, the plus and the minus. So within this expression, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. There are 6 terms here. Of those 6 terms, there are 2 constants. Plus 8 is a constant and minus 16 is a constant. Why? Because they do not have a variable. In other words, that plus 8 is always going to be a plus 8. There's not a variable that could change the value of that term. The same with the minus 16. Now, we also have what we call like terms. Like terms are terms that can be combined because they either share a variable or they don't have a variable at all. So plus 8 and minus 16, those are like terms, and I could combine those to be minus 8. 3x does not have another like term. You may think that the 2x squared is a like term, but it is not, because x is not the same as x squared. So the 3x would just be still a 3x by itself, if I'm simplifying this. The minus 5y does have a like term in minus 8y. That is going to be minus 13y when I combine them. And lastly, the 2x squared does not have another like term, so it will stay plus 2x squared. So that is the simplified version of this expression. It is important to note, again, that this is an expression and not an equal sign. And so we are combining like terms throughout the expression. This is an example of an equation. You have an expression on one side that is equal to the expression on the other. Notice we do not know the value of x, but now that we have an equation, we could solve for the value of x. Then if we know the value of x, we could substitute that value in for x, and we could solve for the value of this expression, which should be the same value as this expression. I'm not going to go into solving equations right now. That will be another video, but just so you can see the difference between expression and equation. I also want to note that because there's this equal sign here, you cannot combine the 6x and the 8x to be 14x because they are on different sides of the equal sign. So be very careful when you're combining like terms. Pay attention to if you are crossing an equal sign or not.
I've been waiting way too long. Yeah.